everyone. Is 1:01, so we'll get the meeting started. And Don, could you do roll call, please?
Yes. Cindy Butts, Wendy Clark, Heidi DeWeingart, Claudio Gualtieri. Claudio, I thought I saw you there. I'll come back. Matt Puglisi, Commissioner Mascara Bruno,
Here.
Lisa Tepper Bates, Greg Ugalde.
Present.
And Claudio, are you with us? He is not with us. We have two members now of the committee. Commissioner, if you want to give me just a minute, I can maybe reach out to Lisa Tepper Bates and see if she can join us.
Okay.
She said she was in a meeting, but would join if we needed her, right?
Correct.
Okay. Thanks, Don.
Right. See, Claudio, I see you just joined us. You're here?
Yes, here. Sorry for being a few minutes late.
You're fine. So for the roll call, I'll just note that Claudio has joined us. We now have 3 members of the committee in the meeting with us, and so we do have a quorum. Also, just our typical reminder that we are both live streaming and recording this meeting. Both of those, I believe, have already started. Okay. Commissioner, it looks like maybe you're speaking, but you are on mute.
Yes, after what, 4 years?
You'll get it. Enough.
All right, I gave the great speech of my life. So moving on to the agenda, our first item is the resolution on the financing of Northeast Hartford Affordable Housing Project, and Kyle is presenting this resolution.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to present the Northeast Hartford Affordable Housing transaction. This is a 4% LIHTC transaction with 78 units on multiple scattered sites in the north end of Hartford. It's a moderate rehab with majority of the scope being focused on major building systems as well as unit and building level finishes. We are recommending the approval of tax-exempt bond proceeds of up to $9,075,000, structured as a construction loan of approximately $5.7 million for 24 months at a rate not to exceed 5.93%, and a permanent loan of approximately $3.3 million at a rate not to exceed 6.51% for 40 years. The other sources in this deal include DOH Flex and Home Funding, City of Hartford Home Funding, a seller's note. They are assuming SSHP and DOH debt that currently exists on the property. This property will be operating during construction, so they'll have NOI and a deferred developer fee. The existing project consists of 68 units. 10 additional units will be that are part of the SSHP portfolio will be become LIHTC units with this transaction. This deal will utilize income averaging, and 68 of the units are for tenants who are below the 60% AMI band. 17 of those units are at the 40% band, 21 are at the 50% band, and 30 are at the 60% band. And all of those 68 units are on a HAP contract. The remaining 10 units are at the 80% AMI bracket, and 3 of those 10 units will have RAPs. All members of the development team have worked with CHFA in the past. Sheldon Oak Central is the developer, and they are currently a partner on the MLK Hartford transaction, which is currently under construction. Millennium Real Estate Services is the property manager. They currently manage other CHFA properties, including Easton Place, Dillon Place, Fairfield Ridge Apartments, and many more. Haynes Construction Company is the GC, and they've also worked with CHFA on many projects, including 11 Crown Street, Farnham Court Apartments Phase 1, Downtown Westgate Apartments, and many more. Shadler Solano Associates is the project architect, and the LIHTC equity investor is Redstone Equity Partners. There will be a short-term temporary relocation of tenants during construction. There's currently 30 vacant units that are ready for rehab, and the relocation coordinator let us know that he intends to hold a minimum of 12 units vacant with a unit mix that will cater to all household sizes. These units are going to be kept offline during construction and be used for temporary relocation for rotating periods up to 4 weeks while the other units are being renovated. Due to this, no tenants are going to be relocated offsite or displaced. And we also heard back from the city yesterday that they approved the relocation plan. After visiting this site and all the multiple scattered sites, I agree a rehab for this site is going to be needed for the tenants that are currently living there. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
So Kyle, quick question for you. The difference between a scattered site, which is unusual, right, is how does that affect your underwriting and your team as you look at it? The variables still able to be controlled. It just seems like there's so many more things that have to be analyzed when you're looking at so many different sites.
Hi, Greg. The underwriting doesn't change. We do everything in the aggregate. You know, there are some inefficiencies in terms of the rehabilitation work that needs to be done. It takes a seasoned development team in order to be able to manage that. We do have we have more than a handful of scattered sites in our portfolio, and we've dealt with this fairly regularly in our history. So it's nothing new. We actually, if you recall, we did Bedford Gardens last year, which was scattered, and it was a much larger list of properties. So not much changes, and these are pretty standard for us.
And the good part about this one too is the city's already signed off on the relocation plan. So with that buy-in, it takes a lot of heat off trying to manage some of the expectations, I think.
Right. And the methodology that they're using by keeping some of their vacant units available so that they can keep people on site, but move them out of their apartments is, you know, kind of an elegant solution to doing a relocation.
Right.
Any other question for Kyle? Can I have a motion to approve the resolution presented for the Finance Authorities?
Motion to approve. Second.
Thank you. Any other questions before we move on? All right.
Just one comment, Commissioner. That's Kyle's inaugural deal. That's his first presentation to the mortgage committee, and I'd like to applaud him on his efforts on this deal. So nice job, Kyle.
Thank you.
He looked like a seasoned vet.
That's good.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're having some issues,
All those
Commissioner.
in favor?
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now. We didn't catch any of that.
Oh, I was asking for all those in favor to say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And I'm sorry, I'm at a different place today, so the connection is not that great. I was on my computer, was kicked me out, so I'm on my cell phone right now. So my apologies for that. The next resolution will be presented by Joe.
Good afternoon, everyone. Before you is an action to approve the mutual return and exchange of 9% low income housing tax credit allocations that have been made over the past several years. The mechanism for this return and exchange is to ask the developer and CHFA to engage in a mutual return of the prior allocation. And once complete, CHFA will proceed with a new allocation for each transaction, and doing so would extend the placed in service date of each property up to 2 years. So there were 5 transactions that merited this type of treatment. The first one is 340 Dixwell in New Haven. They experienced some significant delays with their mass timber supply and delivery, and the project, which had anticipated to be near completion at this point, is just over 70% complete. So to avoid any disruption and recapture of credits, we're going to recommend an execution of the return exchange for Dixwell. Both Cedar Point and Hill Central, which are next in your summary, both are just about complete. They're going through the final sign-offs for certificates of occupancy. And this particular, the return exchange for each is basically precautionary in nature in case there are any delays. Both need to be placed in service by year end. A certificate of occupancy would do that. But to avoid cutting it too close, we are requesting authorization to proceed with the return exchange for both of those. Both had similar reasons for delay in terms of delivery of electrical equipment and installation and inspection, and we expect both will be at or close to CO by year end. The fourth project is Veterans Terrace 3. We were on the doorstep of closing back in July and experienced a budget deficit with the announcement of a new state prevailing wage rates. So we've been working with the developer to revise the budget and restructure the transaction. We've done that. We expect to close either later in December or in January of 2025. But given the construction schedule, there would not be an opportunity to place in service by the previous allocation deadline. So we've requested the return exchange for that transaction as well. And lastly, for Oakwoods, which is a 9% transaction in Terryville, this has experienced numerous delays in terms of pricing and other loan structuring commitments. So it has taken an exceedingly long time to get this one to closing, and in the meantime, the developer lost site control of the property as well, and they've been working to regain that site control in order to proceed. So that too will not make its placed in service deadline based on the closing calendar and construction schedule. So we're recommending a return exchange for that one as well. So staff has reviewed all of these to establish whether or not each return and exchange merits execution, and based on the conditions, which are largely out of the control of each developer, we're recommending this return exchange. Lastly, I would just point out that doing so would not impact our ability to allocate resources either in the upcoming funding round or even for transactions that occurred earlier this year. Anytime low-income housing tax credits are returned, they immediately become tax credits of that year or the following year. So we always have the opportunity to reallocate the credit to another project without losing it back to the federal government for the national pool. So it's very low risk on CHFA's part, but it demonstrates a high commitment to making sure these deals proceed and move forward. With that, I'll ask for your approval and entertain any questions you may have.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions?
Commissioner,
I
I
have a
thought
question.
that this new fellow Joe did an excellent job on his first time out of the gate as well. No, I thought he explained it very well. The fact that there's circumstances out of the developer's control. When it's time, I'll make a motion for passage.
Thank you, Greg. Joe, the Oakwoods, you mentioned that there was an issue with the owner of the property. Did they secure the
Yeah,
acquisition of the property?
Yeah, they're all set, Commissioner. We've moved them along, gave them a deadline not to exceed January 30th for the closing. Their investors back on track. Their lender is finishing up their underwrite. It looks like finally everything is in order to close by January 31st. So they were able to get it back under contract.
All right, thanks. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution presented by Joe?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second, Commissioners Claudio.
Thank you. Any other question? All right, so all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, Joe. Their item on the agenda is the resolution authorizing public comments period for a proposed amendment to the Connecticut Housing Finance Authority Single Family Program procedures. And I think Lisa Hensley is going to present this resolution.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Staff is seeking approval to adopt the amended CHFA Single Family Program procedures as presented at the September 26th board meeting to become effective December 1st, as no public comments were received after the notice was published. Additionally, we would like approval to authorize the publishing and notice for comments of proposed additional amendments as proposed and adopt the resolution providing that no comments are received effective February 1st, 2025. CHFA conducted a final review of the single family procedures and received feedback from bond counsel. The feedback has resulted in some minor items as well as some items that warrant additional changes to further enhance the programs. A few of the more significant changes are to reinsert language concerning the use of the mortgagor's income for eligibility purposes versus household, modify the definition of family to include non-related persons, and then to also insert language to permit CHFA to determine the average purchase price by other methods provided by the IRS. And then another big one was to allow the DAP to be used in conjunction with the new general homeownership program, the non-first-time homebuyer program. And then to also enable the teachers and police programs to be used with the general homeownership program. And that's pretty much a high level overview, a lot of minor stuff, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Lisa. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution presented by Lisa?
The motion to approve the resolution.
Thank you, Greg. Any comments or questions?
You just need a second.
Oh.
I'll second it.
Claudio, you're behind.
So, but that was interesting. So what we'll do is we'll approve today for the February timeframe, no comments. The last comments from bond counsel are implemented on February 1.
That's correct.
Okay. That's interesting. I'm glad we can do it that way.
Any other comments or questions? All right, so my board members, say aye if you approve this resolution. Or raise
Aye.
your hand. Any opposed? I don't think I have any. I can see Claudio and Greg. All right, so motion. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Lisa.
Commissioner, this is Dawn. I'm sorry for the interruption. I just want to make
Yeah.
sure that I've recorded my notes correctly. So far, I have, Greg, that you have made the motions for the last 3 items, that Claudio has made the second for those 3 items, and that everyone has been in favor. There have been no one
No
opposing
opposed.
okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
All right. That's the last resolution. So the last resolution is the Housing Opportunity Navigator Initiative Pilot Counseling Program. And is that Kyle?
No, that's
Kelly.
Kelly.
Oh,
I'm gonna
Kelly.
say just a few words before Kelly, if you don't mind, Kelly.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
So Kelly Ryder, for those of you who don't know, heads up the housing counseling programs at CHFA, and she also oversees EMAP, Emergency Mortgage Assistance Program, and then when we had received federal funds, during the pandemic, her team was instrumental in getting those funds out under the My Home CT program for foreclosure prevention. So Kelly and her team are always thinking of ways to make our counseling programs more effective and meet the needs. So as you know, we do counseling. We do provide funding for counseling to housing counseling agencies who are HUD certified, but also we've worked with community action agencies. When we did My Home CT, we expanded our pool of agencies that could do the counseling and application work. We see a need for this program. Our housing counseling traditional programs relate mostly to pre-purchase education, which is to help people navigate the purchase process and understand the responsibilities of first-time home ownership, and maybe some landlord training thrown in too. And then there's some post-purchase, like closing education that happens as well. This is a little bit broader. The idea is, and I don't want to give it all away, but basically the idea is to help someone or a household navigate their options. So with that, I will turn it over to Kelly.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So with that, staff is seeking approval of this resolution for an investment of $100,000 from the 2025 home ownership counseling budget to implement this pilot counseling program, which is called the Housing Opportunity Navigator Initiative. So this initiative is going to facilitate greater housing choice for all Connecticut households through a mobility navigation service. And the service would be offered by qualified housing counseling agencies, community action, or supportive housing agencies. This proposed navigation service, like Nanthani was saying, it's more broad. It's open to all Connecticut individuals and households that are looking to move to an area of their choice. So I know mobility has been a hot topic this year, but standard mobility counseling, it's geared more towards those that are utilizing housing choice vouchers. And we thought that there needed to be a bigger space for this. So that's why we're opening this to all individuals looking to move, where this service is defining a move as a transition into another rental or a transition into home ownership, which both can include a housing choice voucher if they have one. But if they don't, we will also help them. The goal of this mobility navigation is to empower individuals and households with the knowledge and resources needed to transition, again, not only into the housing of their choice, but an area of their choice. Our mobility navigators in this program are going to help individuals and households learn and understand their choices that are involved in a transition, whether it be in the neighborhood they currently live in or one that they wish to relocate to. They will help them research and share information on amenities in different communities, help them connect with landlords, realtors, and lenders. They'll help them mentor on life skills, provide financial mentoring, tenant, homeownership responsibilities, and more. In addition, these navigators, the idea is that they're going to provide a more like holistic approach to help get these individuals to their housing goal, focusing on any barriers to housing that they may experience, whether that be education, employment, income, or credit repair. So what this is really they're going to serve as kind of like a navigation hub where they're going to help them kind of get through any barrier that's, holding them back from the housing of their choice. So with that, staff is proposing to run this pilot program for 1 year and expects to assist 50 to 100 individuals or families with a successful move. And like Anthony was saying too, we're always, looking for where we can improve. So we're hoping that this program will also help us identify more barriers that are out there for those that are not mortgage or rent ready, and refer them to other service providers so we can, kind of get people, just increase the likelihood of more housing affordability, stability. And that's it. Is there any questions?
So yes, I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
So this will be in addition to the housing counselors' work that they're doing on education, is that?
Correct. So we're not going to require that they be HUD approved counselors. That we would be using the HUD approved agencies, but we're also looking to use some of the community action agencies as well. But we're not requiring that they be HUD approved counselors. So they could use their educators that are also there, or with My Home CT, they had other support staff that helped, kind of navigate through the process.
And
So $100,000 doesn't go far. So when you open it to everybody, what is that, $5,000? Like if you have, you're not limited. You open it up to everyone that has Housing Navigator, and that goes through hubs on the housing homelessness, and that goes to the housing counseling, and it goes to community agencies. So how do you think you can kind of streamline? Because when you open it up, even if it's 50 and 100, so $100,000 is not much.
well, just to add to that, I think one of the things that we need to look at is that we're really paying for a navigator, but all the programs and places that we'll be referring them to are already covered really under the counseling budget. So this is just the newer part, just for those people that are guiding them from beginning the process all the way till they've moved and had a successful move. But they're guiding them to the different resources and basically holding them accountable, doing follow-up, just really, people get overwhelmed when they're just sent for counseling, and then they're like, this is too hard. We're not going to do this. And so this way we have someone who can just really hold their hand through the whole process and say, okay, you're going to do this. And then we can talk about it. And they call them back and they go, did you do this yet? To try to really help them through the process, because it's not an easy process, whether you're renting or buying.
Yeah, no, but I've been talking about the overhead, right? I'm looking at if it's $100,000 and you are gonna, some organization needs to do a new thing for them, that's not gonna go far, right? If a pilot was with 5 organizations and each gets $10,000, or a 10 organization, $10,000, they still have to come out with the money to provide that particular program. So I'm a little worried about us saying you can have another person, but then depends. I mean, you're gonna have literally, you can have 100 applications for these $100,000. So just trying to manage expectations of what is that we want, and did we talk to those housing counseling agencies also? I know you're not gonna require a HUD, but it's still, I mean, I'm talking about the volume, and it's because we have been providing some assistance to the hubs, for example, that where they have Housing Navigator and they have all these other staff that I would encourage to think a little more before we put this out there, because it's going to be a little bit unmanageable. I have some concerns because, and then you're taking 10,000, I mean, 100,000 from the housing counseling agencies to do this program? Because it's saying it is from the housing counseling budget.
Well, typically in our housing counseling budget, if I'm not mistaken, we do have a surplus that each year, so we're not really taking anything away. And the way we felt is that $10,000 per each individual to get them through this process, we thought was very generous. I thought, but I could be wrong.
Wait a minute. What do you mean 10,000? It's,
Sorry.
no, we're gonna assist 50 to 100 individuals. We're
Right.
gonna put out a notice of funding availability, right? So we are going to be contracting with certain
It's-
agencies around the state that we believe are best equipped to provide these services to individual households. In talking with these agencies, my understanding is that even though there may be need, the capacity of the agency to assist, assist households at this level, it's not going to be dozens of households per agency. It may be a handful per agency. So we do think that as a pilot, we believe it's structured.
No, I think it could
Yeah.
help, but what I'm telling, what I'm
Yeah.
bringing to the attention is that the fact that you can probably fund 10 organizations because you already have counseling that they can add the $10,000. But what I'm saying is when you open it up to everyone, you're not gonna have, people are gonna apply. A lot of people are gonna apply. How do you select? Are you gonna do $5,000? You're gonna do $500 per organization? Are
Yeah,
you
no,
gonna
no, we
select
already
10
talked about,
organizations?
we did talk about this. Kelly, do you want to answer that? Didn't we have a number per household?
Yeah, I think we capped it about, we were thinking $1,000 per household, and it would be
It
based
has to
on
be.
sessions. It would be based on, kind of how far they made it through the process, like different stages. So payment per different stages that they go through. But the households would be capped at $1,000.
It's hourly. Again, it's navigator services, so it's hourly, paid hourly. And so we think about 20 to 25 hours is about what this program will, but Kelly, haven't we had conversations with the agencies about this?
Yeah, we've had with all the agencies. And when we did our deep dive on mobility counseling, we talked to so many people, and I don't think they were really that concerned about, like they didn't think that it was going to be just volumes of people, because they see those
I was
people
talking,
now,
Kelly, I was talking about the volume of organizations that are going to apply for the $100,000. Because you only have, you said you're going to include not only housing counseling.
Yeah, so why we chose
organization.
that though was just so we could spread it around the state, so it wasn't just concentrated in we started with focusing on Greater Hartford area, but then just in all of our research, we thought, well, what about those in New London County that, needed help too? So that's why we went that route, to use more of the agencies and
Okay.
supportive action agencies around, but I hear you.
And if the money's gone in 3 months, then, and if
That-
it's really successful, we can re-up it and find more money. Find
Well,
other
just
resources.
just make sure that when you guys put it out is in addition to, like, people don't have to hire another person. It's part of the work. Is they have
Right.
other people that they need to take care of. Greg, do you have any questions?
Yeah,
Or you-
I was thinking the same things that you were just inquiring about too, because I think the key will be, as we identify new barriers and watch this, we just have to realize when the money's up, we have to revisit it, but we just have to know when that time is, right? Because it could be a lot of people interested, but there's some safety net that we'll know how quickly we're going through it. It's going to be interesting to see how, once it's rolled out, who actually engages, because a lot of good could come from this, an additional level of really hearing where some of the problems are and some of the hurdles are.
Yeah, and I think that is also just on the marketing piece, because if organizations that are doing counseling or other services that they can apply for these monies, not a new, like they don't have to hire a new person, but that they can, sometimes housing counseling cannot get benefits, right, from a person that goes in and they don't have a mortgage and doesn't go into the qualifications. So it would be great that they get benefits for people that they can take care of, put them in the pipeline to get them credit ready, but they can't go to you guys and say, hey, we have somebody that is ready and we can get credits. So I think that if you make it a little more towards that, perhaps it doesn't become this big overwhelm of a lot of people applying.
That's exactly right. I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of moving people that they already are working with, maybe who are a little bit less further along in their journey, right, of understanding how they're going to move to the housing of their choice. And so this is providing a resource to try to get somebody to closer to their goals.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So my suggestion would be to make it a little more tight, so that it's not, doesn't become this big thing. And I just don't like to have people with expectations that everybody get
Or
appointed.
disappointed. We understand
And they
that,
get
you know.
disappointed. Yes. So we need to make sure that we get to it. All right. So
Very good.
any
Thank you.
other can I have a motion to approve the resolution with some changes? I don't know if this is a specific or is this in general, but can I have a motion to approve the resolution to, what's the name of the program? I can see it through
Housing Opportunity Navigator Initiative.
the Housing Opportunity Navigator Initiative.
Motion to approve.
Can I have a second?
Yes, I'll second it, Claudio.
Claudia, thank you. Any more comments or questions? Claudia, you have any questions?
Nope, sounds good. Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, thank you. All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Great job, Kelly.
The last item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the October Mortgage Committee meeting. If I can have a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve.
And I'll
Second.
second it, Claudio.
Thank you. Opposed? All those in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. I think that's it for today. At least anybody has any questions or comments? Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So
So
move,
moved.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
And Greg second. All those in favor,
Aye.
Aye.
raise your hand. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Have a
everybody.
good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.